So it was June 30th, 2011, and I was at home. I live in the Logan Square neighborhood, about 10 minutes from the conservatory. And a huge hailstorm blew through the area, kind of unexpected, and I grabbed my camera. I went outside to take photos, and the streets were green because so much foliage had been ripped from the trees. And I saw the size of the hailstones, or whatever they're called, and immediately thought of the conservatory. The Palm House was refurbished in 2002, and the entire house was done with double pane laminate glass. So I drive up, I see the Palm House, it's intact, breathe a sigh of relief. And I get out of my car and I walk into, we have a staff entrance, and right at the staff entrance is a security guard station. And the security guard says, "You cannot go in there. You'll get killed." And I knew right then and there that it was as bad as I had anticipated. So that room is adjacent to Horticulture Hall, another room that was recently redone. It's got a partial metal roof and double pane laminate glass. So I said, is Horticulture Hall affected? And she said no. And so then I said, well, let me at least go in there. So I went in there, all the lights are off, and there was a bright light on in the security area. And so it took a minute for my eyes to adjust. And once my eyes adjusted, I could see the exterior of propagation greenhouse number 1, and it looked like Swiss cheese. It was just, the entire house was just destroyed. And at the time that I'm trying to process what I'm seeing, the show house still had an original roof, and every pane in that house was also shredded, but all the glass was still falling in, so it was like this, it was like wind chimes of destruction, just like all this glass falling and hitting the floor. So you knew what the sound was, and you're seeing it in a different house, and then you just start to do the math of how many houses had the original glass, and it's just like, okay, show is done, Fern is done, 1 through 9 is done, Desert's done, what else is damaged? So I couldn't go any further than the show house. I took a couple photos there, took a photo with my phone, texted it to some coworkers, and then went outside, walked the perimeter of the building, tried to get any shots that I could there. So then I called some people with the park district, and I said the conservatory is destroyed. It was heartbreaking. I mean, this is a building that was able to, bounce back from a terrible freeze, and it was kind of this forgotten gem that luckily people put some effort into years ago and got it back up and running. And we've had incredible shows and incredible visitors, and it's an experience unlike any other in Chicago. It's so big, it's so immersive, and on a day in February when it is just absolutely brutal outside, you can walk into the Palm House and you want to take off your coat, you feel humidity, which you probably aren't feeling very much unless you have a crazy humidifier going all the time at home. The smells are different. It's a really special place, and you start to question, like, okay, what's it going to take to get it back to what it originally was? How's that going to work? But then, like everything else in Chicago, you wonder, but then you stop wondering and you just start doing. It was a crazy time. It was an exhausting time, but it's probably good that it was like that because you didn't really have time to think about, like, kind of the long term, how long it was going to take to try and bounce back, which we're still trying to do.